Hello and welcome back to another EDH deck tech idea. Today we are talking about Alandra, Sky Dreamer. It is a 4 mana 2/4 and whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying. This is always limited to your second card, but it triggers each turn, so we want to draw at least 2 cards in our turn and in our opponent's turn. Whenever you draw your 5th card each turn, Alandra, Sky Dreamer and Drakes you control each get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. This is going to be our final overrun effect, so this is how we want to play the game. We want to draw a bunch of cards, create an army of Drake tokens and at some point swing for the win. We not only rely on Alandra as our win con, we either have very powerful support or we also have alternative win cons. For example, Ominous Seas, a 2 mana enchantment, and whenever you draw a card, put a foreshadow counter on Ominous Seas. You can remove 8 of those counters to create an 8/8 blue Kraken creature token. You can also cycle this card for 2 mana to draw another card, but in most cases you want to hardcast this enchantment, because especially in a deck that draws a bunch of cards, this is going to be one of your win cons. A great support that we have is Curiosity Crafter, a 4 mana 3/3 with flying that says that you have no maximum hand size, and whenever a creature token you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. This creature does it all for us. It is a flyer, it gives us no maximum hand size, and it keeps us drawing cards. We play Artemsis, All-Seeing, a 6 mana 4/5 with flying, and for 3 mana and tapping it we can draw 2 cards, but then we have to discard a card. This will already trigger Alandra's first ability, and it also has a connect trigger, so when it deals combat damage to an opponent, we may reveal our hand. If cards with at least 6 different converted mana costs are revealed this way, that player loses the game. We also played Triskaidekaphile, a 2 mana 1/3 which gives us no maximum hand size, and if we have exactly 13 cards in our upkeep we win the game, and for 4 mana we can draw a card. This is always seen as a janky win con, but especially in our deck we will draw a bunch of cards, will focus having no maximum hand size, and it is pretty realistic for us that we can get to those 13 cards in hand. We play Psychosis Crawler, a 5 mana 0/0, and its power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand, and whenever we draw a card each opponent loses 1 life. We do play a Stacks piece, Harbinger of the Seas, a 3 mana 2/2, and non-basic lands are islands. Aside from playing a few counterspells, this will also slow down our opponents. So we want to draw at least 2 cards in our opponent's turn, which is why we play Brainstorm. A 1 mana instant, draw 3 cards and then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. We play Frantic Search, a 3 mana instant, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards and untap up to 3 lands. We play Keep Watch, a 3 mana instant, draw a card for each attacking creature. Meeting of Minds is especially very powerful in this deck, as for 4 mana it is an instant that has Convoke, so we can tap our just created dragon creature tokens to pay for this mana cost, and we draw 2 cards. We also play Thirst for Discovery, a 3 mana instant. We draw 3 cards and then discard 2 cards unless we discard a basic land card. Due to us being in mono blue, we will always discard an island to this card and create our dragon token. We play Quick Study, a 3 mana instant, to draw 2 cards. Then we also want to secure that we draw at least 2 cards during our turn, so we play Ponder, a 1 mana sorcery, look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order, you may shuffle and then draw a card. We Opt, a 1 mana instant, scry 1 and draw a card. Serum Vision, a 1 mana sorcery, draw a card and then scry 2. Gitaxian Probe, for 1 blue Phyrexian we can cast a sorcery to look at target player's hand and draw a card. And a really powerful enchantment in this deck is Wiretapping, a 5 mana enchantment with Hideaway 5. And whenever you draw your first card during each of your draw steps, draw another card. Then, if you have 9 or more cards in hand, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. As soon as this and Alandra are on the battlefield, you will always trigger Alandra's first ability in your draw step due to you drawing 2 cards. We also play Consider, a 1 mana instant, surveil 1 and then draw a card. We play a bunch of interaction like Reality Shift, a 2 mana instant, exile target creature and its controller manifests the top card of their library. We also play Resculpt, a 2 mana instant, exile target artifact or creature, its controller creates a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. Spectral Deluge, a 6 mana sorcery, return each creature your opponents control with toughness X or less to its owner's hand, where X is the number of islands you control. You can also foretell this card by paying 2 generic in 1 turn and casting it for 3 mana in another turn. 3 steps ahead, a 1 mana instant and also has several spree modes. For 2 mana you can counter target spell. For 3 additional mana create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control. And for +2 you can draw 2 cards and then discard a card. This very flexible spell is great in this deck as you can counter a spell and also draw 2 cards to get another Alandra trigger. We play Cyclonic Rift, a 2 mana instant, return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand, and you can overload this instant for 7 mana. And last but not least we play an Offer You Can't Refuse, a 1 mana instant, counter target non-creature spell and its controller creates 2 treasure tokens. You want to win more? You get it. Teferi's Ageless Insight, a 4 mana legendary enchantment, and if you would draw a card, except the first one on your draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. Of course at some point we also want to trigger Alandra's overrun effect, so doubling the cards that we draw from our spells is extremely powerful, and it also helps us with our cantrips in our opponent's turn to trigger Alandra's first ability. Last but not least we play Consecrated Sphinx, a 6 mana 4/6 with flying, and whenever an opponent draws a card you may draw 2 cards. This extremely powerful creature is definitely one of our win cons in this deck, because as soon as our opponents draw a card we can draw 2, which will trigger Alandra immediately, so we always have those dragon tokens secured without spending any mana, except the mana that we have to pay for Consecrated Sphinx. Alright guys, these were a few cards that I would play in Alandra Sky Dreamer. Also make sure to check out my full deck list in the comments. Let me know down in the comments below which cards you would add to the deck, which legendary creature I shall feature next, and then I would say see you in the next one. Goodbye guys.